Welcome to the WolfPack Sportswire, a podcast from the athletic department at Whitefield Academy. Whitefield Academy is a Christ-centered pre-K through 12 college preparatory school located in Smyrna, Georgia. On this show, we highlight our hardworking coaches and student athletes who are excelling in and out of competition. Welcome back to the WolfPack Sportswire. I'm your host, Jack Hunter. We've made it another month. It's the week of December 1st, and today is episode 15 of the program. On today's show, we caught up with our head football coach, Robert Walsh, to recap the season after the Pack fell in the quarterfinals over Thanksgiving break. To finish the show, we sit down with first-year swim and dive coach Emily Yergler to hear about her background in the season to this point. Today's episode is sponsored by Country Boy Trailers, Longo Custom Builders, Mountain Vibe Vacations, and Sunbelt Pools of Georgia. Thank you for your support of Pack Backers, Whitefield Athletics, and this show. Now back to the program. Now joined by Whitefield head football coach Robert Walsh, following the team's quarterfinal loss to Calvary Day over Thanksgiving break last Friday to wrap up the season. Coach, it's kind of a weird time into the year. We've been playing for a long time, and now a season is done after a hard-fought loss in the quarterfinals. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Jack. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, despite the rain and cold weather we've got going on today. So obviously a tough loss against Calvary Day last week at home, going down to Savannah about 4 hours. They're a very talented team. Came out with a 52-7 win. What were your kind of overall thoughts as you were getting on the bus to go home on how that game went?
Just reflecting on how talented they were. I think in my 3 years here, that is probably the most talented football team that we have faced. You're talking all those kids are juniors as well, a lot of them. So a lot of their roster comes back next year. I think they're going to give fellowship all they want this next round, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they're playing for the state championship.
Yeah, me either. So we recapped the regular season a few weeks ago, I think before the Aquinas game, so we're not going to harp on that too much today. But I just want to ask, how fun was that playoff run, getting to the Elite Eight, helped by the bye, and is getting to practice over Thanksgiving?
You know, it's exciting for our football program to finally, get over that hump, especially for our community. I think this school's been waiting on that moment for a very long time since they've started playing football. So it's a great accomplishment. This senior class has definitely set the standard for future classes. So I think it's an exciting time for Whitefield football going into the future.
Yeah, we've talked about this over the course of the season, but it was a record-breaking season in many ways, one of which was farthest in the playoffs with the Elite Eight, most points ever scored in a Whitefield football season. We could go on. And you talked about the seniors really setting the standard. What are you hoping that this season does for the program going forward?
I hope it continues to create interest of being part of our football program from middle schoolers all the way up to our high school kids. I've already started my 2026 roster for next year, and we have actually 49 guys returning from freshman class to our junior class right now. So I'm hoping that we'll at least get 15 to 20 freshmen to come out for football next year. I'm hoping that continues to grow. Strengths in numbers, the way you can practice, the way you can do things. And then also just outside of our community, creating interest from the public and seeing the competitiveness our football program has, maybe attract some student athletes that want a great education here at Whitefield and want to play some good football.
Yeah, it's fun to look back on the season. There's a ton of moments that seemed like forever ago that were awesome moments during the season. I realize I'm putting you in a tough spot here, but do you have a favorite moment or a few maybe favorite moments from the season?
I think probably one of my favorite moments is probably William Dukes in Super Heavy getting a handoff and running against Best Academy was a pretty cool moment for our football team. But then I think it's the win against Aquinas. That fourth quarter, our new tradition, playing Pump It Up, and looking across that sideline and seeing Aquinas fans upset and mad, but then the celebration after that game and with the seniors and how excited they were, and even our families. Like 3 years ago when I got here, if I mentioned practicing on Thanksgiving week, it would have been like deer in the headlights look coming back at me. So, our community's bought into this thing and want to be practicing on Thanksgiving. So I think those are two of the top memories for me this season.
You're asking me, Sub-Region Championship, Landmark Christian, Fox 5 game of the week. That was a special night. I saw a picture of that the other day. I know there's just an endless amount of people to thank, so I'm not going to put you on that spot here because we'd be here for a long time, but just wanted to give you an opportunity to say any big thank yous that you have for anybody that made this season what it was, because obviously as a football program, there's a lot of people that have that go into making it work.
I'll start with our administration from the top down. I think this is one of the best places to work because of our administration. I think they do an unbelievable job supporting everything here at Whitefield, and really truly want to strive for excellence in all that we do, which is, you hear administrators say that a lot of other places, but we truly live that out here. Our pack backers, led by Brant Suddeth, the work he's done in the last 2 years of fundraising and supporting our coaches here at Whitefield is second to none, that's for sure. And then our band, our cheerleaders make Friday night special. Especially at our place. I think it's a tough environment because of what they do. And then, SWAT and Brandon Dobo and Hillary Adams, what they do to keep our players on the field, I think is awesome. They do a really good job. And then, our families. I told them when I first got here, I said it takes a village to make a great football program. It can't just come from our coaches and our coaching staff and people at the school. It's going to take the community to buy into this thing and make it the best football program we can make it. And they've definitely jumped on that board and really supported us and done a great job. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank our coaching staff for putting up with me. I'm not the easiest guy to work for sometimes. I'm extremely passionate about what I do. And, sometimes I'm getting after coaches, and, our coaches, I've told them from the get-go, it's not personal. I believe in their skills and what they can do, and, it's something that I see in them, and I'm trying to strive to help them strive to be better. And then, of course, I need to thank my beautiful wife. She's a single mom from pretty much June until last week. So she's been a single mom, playing zone defense at home, and she's an MVP of the Walsh household, that's for sure. She's at home sick right now, but hopefully she feels better here soon. Definitely need to thank her.
All right, well, I appreciate that, Coach, and we talked about the seniors a little bit, and we've talked about them all over the season, just how great of a class it's been. You said it was the most fun you've had coaching in your coaching career because of that class and who they were. Every class kind of has a thing that they're remembered for. They have kind of their own stamp. What do you think this senior class is going to be remembered for? What's going to be their kind of calling card?
Whitfield's had a lot of talented senior classes. They've had Division I athletes. They've had people go to North Carolina. They've had people play in the NFL. This class does not have a Division I player currently right now in it. And they are the most successful senior class that we've ever had at Whitefield by making the quarterfinals. So I think their work ethic, their team first mindset of wanting to play for the guy next to him, and that legacy, I think, is something that they're going to be remembered for a very, very long time. And I'm hoping that it rubs off on our lower classes. I hope our junior class right now learned a lot from them and the way they did things, and we'll take it to the next level. But extremely proud of this senior class. Definitely not the most talented senior class to ever come through Whitefield, but definitely the best senior class in my mind right now to come through Whitefield.
So there are 4 teams left in the private classification. We've watched them. We've studied the brackets. So I do want to ask, between Fellowship and Calvary, GAC, Hebron, I know you're probably going to watch a little bit of it. What are kind of your thoughts, or do you have any predictions or things that you're excited to see for the 4 teams that are left?
I'm excited to see the matchup between GAC and Hebron, because I know Coach Hardy up there at GAC, he does a really good job with his program. And, last year was kind of a tough year for them, but I think they're hitting on all cylinders right now. They blew out Athens Academy last week. That's an interesting matchup just because I know Coach Hardy's going to have his guys ready to play. And I think the Calvary Fellowship matchup's interesting. I think it favors Calvary, if I'm being completely honest. Now, they do have to make the trip up here to Atlanta, which I think is the furthest they've had to venture out. They've been in Savannah, I think, the whole season, besides going to Statesboro a couple times. So that'll be a tough trip for them. But I think it'll probably be Hebron versus Calvary for the state championship.
And lastly for you, obviously it's going to look different next few months just with football season being over. What are you and the coaching staff going to be up to in the next few months while there's a little bit of a downtime in terms of getting ready for next year?
We'll definitely take some time off. I'm a believer in letting our coaching staff get away from football for a little while. We'll get back from Christmas break and stuff, and we'll start planning for our coaches clinics that we want to attend, and have time away from the Atlanta area as a coaching staff to sit down and have fellowship and reflect on the season, but also look forward to what next season entails. And then I'm probably going to look to add a couple more coaches to our staff to help us out in some areas. So definitely going to be doing that over the next few months, and then planning our off-season training and getting ready for next season. It starts in the weight room for us probably about the 3rd week in January. So we'll start organizing that and getting our football calendar together and planning those things out.
Well, Coach, that kind of brings a wrap for our fall talks on the WolfPack Sportswire here. This is our 15th episode, and then we've done 2 others on Instagram, kind of shorter ones. So 17 total times we've done this in the fall, and I've appreciated your time every week, and it's been a great thing for our community to be able to hear the inside of the Whitefield football program. So just want to say a big thank you for being a part of this year.
Jack, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you coming on board here at Whitefield. You've done a great job with this, and I look forward to the other things you're going to bring to the table. I have no doubt you're gonna make our athletic department even better with the things you're going to bring to the table. So, Jack, really appreciate your time, man, and I look forward to listening to the episodes throughout the winter and spring, catching up on our other sports.
All right, well, that sounds good. We'll have to have you on in the spring, give a little update, but we'll give you some time off from the mic. So, Coach, appreciate it, and have a good one.
All right, go Pack.
Our next guest is swim and dive head coach Emily Yergler. Coach Yergler is in her first season with the Pack after moving here from San Antonio, Texas. The team has raced 4 times this season with 2 more to go until Christmas. We discussed her background, goals for the program, and her takeaways from the young season. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, as I mentioned, first year at Whitefield, and we've had a few first-year head coaches on this year. It's been great to have them on. And the first question I always like to ask them is, where have you been before Whitefield, and how did you get to Whitefield?
Well, I just moved this past summer from San Antonio, where I was for 10 years. So I went to high school in the area up at Lassiter, so I'm not totally unfamiliar with the Atlanta area, but immediately just coming from Texas.
What attracted you about the opportunity to come to Whitefield?
Well, I taught a year in private school, Christian education, previously several years ago, and so I wanted to get back to the Christian school setting. And then my parents still live in the area, so I wanted to move back closer to them too.
Yeah, and as you take over your first year, when you got hired, you kind of started thinking about this program. What were your kind of first priorities or goals in terms of building this team up?
I was told a little bit of the history, and there has been some turnover in the coaching position. So I want to create some stability for the program. I also, another goal I have is just to build it up to, the middle school and high school to create a continuous, streamline, no pun intended, streamline of, the program from middle to high school. Success, of course, is also a goal too, but just to create a strong, unified, fun, sports experience for the kids.
Yeah, following up on that, you guys have a good opportunity in that middle school is not competing right now. You just have the high school, and you're getting the middle school later in the year. So what are you going to, in terms of unity, what are you trying to do in terms of the middle school level to try to build a foundation?
That's a great question. I think one thing I have thought of is to get the high schoolers to attend some of the middle school meets. I think would be great. I know, just since Whitefield, a lot of these kids have been here their entire lives. They do know each other, and a lot of the middle schoolers know the high schoolers already. But just to have them come and support, and I think that would build bridges across the middle school to high school gap. But that is definitely something that I need to spend more time, figuring out some ways to do that.
Yeah, and you've gotten to be with this high school team for a little over a month now. You're kind of well into the winter season. Mm-hmm. What's the team like? What are your kind of impressions of some of the student athletes and just the culture that you have here in your first year?
They're really hard workers. They're very, very hard workers. We start early in the morning, very early, and they're there and they're ready to go, and they are in the pool before 6 o'clock, before we start. They don't complain. They, do what Coach Allen and I ask. They're really hard workers. So they've improved a ton just in the how long? 2 months? 2 months, yeah, that we've been in the water. So that's been really exciting. We've seen a lot of improvement. And they've also done a great job of balancing the swim and the academic side, which, can be tricky, especially since if they do club too, then they're swimming in the morning, they're swimming in the evening. And then, of course, they have all their schoolwork. So I've been really impressed with how they've all balanced, being an athlete, but also primarily being a student.
Yeah, you kind of briefly alluded to the practice schedule there, but I do want to mention this because a lot of our swim student athletes, you look at their schedules and you're kind of blown away. So much respect for them. So tell us about maybe a typical morning for a Whitefield student that swims on your team.
Well, we are in the water at 6. So, that means, they have to get up, they have to either drive themselves to Westminster where we swim, or they're driving themselves to school, and then we're picking them up and we're busing them over there. So, they're waking up way before 6 o'clock. And then, they go to school, of course, and then if they do club, then they're, in the water again at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and, they have 2.5 hour practice, and they're not home until 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then they have dinner and they have all their schoolwork. So yeah, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have been able to compete 4 times this year, and you've had several state cuts, good results. Tell us about how the team has fared when facing other competition this year.
They've done really well. Like you mentioned, we've had a good amount of success already. We have a bunch of state cuts, individual and relays, which is really exciting. So yeah, they've done really well.
So with winter sports, this is not just a swimming thing. Kind of difficult, right? You got exams, and you got Christmas break, and for upper school, it's new to you too. Is J term. So as a winter sports head coach, obviously that's a big challenge. What are you going to try to do to keep your team, keep the momentum alive? Obviously, when you get back going into a big stretch of the season.
Yes. It's funny that you asked me, because we were talking about this at practice this morning. The Christmas break and J term now, yeah, it's a new experience for me, and how to juggle this, because yeah, taking 3 weeks off is just not, the best option. So I think we're still kind of trying to find some lane space, hopefully, over break. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a lot. It's left on them, which I think, it can be a good thing, that they take some ownership of their sport. And they also have the opportunity to, do some different things, which I think is also good. They can, get back into running. We have a lot of cross-country runners that swim, so they can, go back to that a little bit. They can do some other fun classes or fun activities. So, I think too, swimmers, they have to be so dedicated and they have to be in the water so much that sometimes, you do see burnout because they're spending 4 hours a day sometimes in the water. So I think it's also good for them to spend some time not in the pool doing other athletic things.
Mm-hmm. And last question I have for you, obviously if I asked you this from a results side, say fast times, win meets, state cuts, all that, but what are your overall goals for your first year coming in? Where do you want to have the program be by the end of the first season?
I would like the team to be a team. And I mean that they, support each other. They're there for each other in the good times and the bad times, when they make the state cuts and when they just miss it. That they become a real unified team, a family of sorts. I also, we have a lot of talent, and I want to, do the best that I can to help them reach their goals, whether that is individual state cuts or state titles, podiums. That is definitely a possibility with some of the swimmers on the team. So I think success in the pool, but also, the friendship, the relationships within the team.
All right. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on today, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
That'll do it for today's episode of the WolfPack Sportswire. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. This episode will be the last one of the semester and of 2025, so I just want to extend another thank you to our listeners for their support this year, and to our coaches and student athletes for coming on every week. We've covered a lot of ground in 15 episodes and hope to do more of the same starting again in January. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you again in 2026. Goodbye now.